Okay, so the last and final stage, as we've discussed, of obtaining your motorcycle license is your module 2 test, and you no doubt will have done some training and with an instructor to get to this stage. So well done. It's the last part, and it can be the hardest, it can be the easiest. It's as easy as you make it. So the format of mod 2, documents checked and signed, the declaration, examiner kits you out with the radio, and then you lead them outside to the test centre. First thing he'll do is your eyesight check, read a number plate from 20.5 metres, and he'll ask you to walk you over to his bike. So over to your bike, you'll make a note of the registration and just walk around the vehicle just to visually inspect that L plates are displayed and it looks in reasonable condition. And then he's going to be asking you 2 questions on the bike. So show me, tell me questions on the bike. And these are all available on our website. So he will be asking you 2 questions on the bike and a question on carrying a pillion passenger, and Graham's doing that video, so that'll follow. But this particular video is the show me, tell me questions. You will be asked 2 questions. And as I said, they all are available on the website. There's a combination of different ones, but we'll go through them and show you what he's looking for, really. So the first possible question could be, identify where you would check the engine oil level and tell me how you would check that the engine has sufficient oil. Now this is a tell me question, so you don't have to do anything, just tell him and show him, just point at it. So identify where you would check the engine oil level. So on this particular bike, like most bikes, it's going to be down here somewhere, and on this one is a sight glass. Some will have a dipstick here, but this one has a sight glass. So identify where you would check it, which is here, sight glass, and tell me how. So I'd ensure that the bike was on an upright position, so on a centre stand, or I'd lift the bike upright so that the level will even itself out, and I'd just check that the level is between the minimum and maximum, the higher and lower. There's 2 markers. If I'm going to fill it, I'd fill it in there, and I'd refer to my owner manual. Some bikes like it to be cold, some like it to be hot, so just explain that to him. Another question could be, show me how you would check that the horn is working. You would only get this question if you were on an off-road car park. Most test centres now are that, but if you're in one of the older test centres, then you wouldn't get this one if you're on the road. So just show him. So show me is show me. So engine on. Oop, ignition. And check. So just show him. Another possible question then is, identify where the brake fluid reservoirs are, or reservoir is, and tell me how you would check that you have a safe level of hydraulic fluid. Well, this one has got a front and a back. So depending on your bike, if you only got a front, only show the front. If you've got a front and back, then both. So show him. So brake fluid reservoirs. So front brake fluid reservoir is here, and the rear brake fluid reservoir on this one is here. So again, I would make sure the bike is in an upright position so it evens the levels out. Check the level between the lower and upper, making sure that it's sufficient. With this one you can see the little window, so make sure that the level is sufficient. If not, on the front I'd unscrew the top to fill it in the top, and I'd take the top off the cap on the back one to fill it in there. So identify where and tell him how you check it. That's sufficient. Tell me how you would check that the lights and reflectors are clean and working. Well, just go around the bike and show him that you'd make sure that all the reflectors and lights were clean just by your hand. Yep. And then you turn the engine on. Some bikes you need the engine ticking over, some bikes you don't, so make sure you're comfortable with what your bike does, and then visually go round, so making sure all the lights are working. Yep. lights and reflectors, high beam. Yep. So lights and reflectors. Show me how you would check that the brake lights are working. So again, with different bikes, but start it up. So your brake light at the back. So get your, yeah, you can see there, and the same on the back. So check both brake, front and back. And remember, if you are on the side stand and you're testing that back brake, don't press too hard because you don't want to tip the bike over. Tell me how you would check the condition of the chain on this machine. So tell him you don't need to do anything. So visual inspection, looking down at the chain. So I'd make sure that it was well lubricated. I'd ensure the correct tension was achieved. Don't need to do anything, just tell him. And if any adjustment was being made, I'd undo the rear axle, use the adjustment nuts on both sides to adjust the chain according to the manual, ensuring that the rear wheel alignment is correct. So you're telling him you can point at stuff and explain that. You don't need to actually do anything. Show me what checks you would make on the steering movement. Well, this is a simple one. So the steering movement, all we would want to do is full lock to lock, left to right. You can apply the front brake and just feel for any movement in the head bearing, but you're just making sure that the steering is free, left to right. Tell me how you would check your tyres. So again, tell him you don't need to do anything. So you just maybe just explain that you'd ensure that there was a minimum of 1 millimetre tread depth across 3/4 of the centre of the breadth continuously around the tyre. I'd visually inspect for lumps, bumps, bulges, cuts and tears, any foreign bodies, and very important, I'd ensure the correct tyre pressure was maintained by using a reliable gauge, pressure gauge, valves down the bottom there, and pressure that I would put in the tyre would be as specified in the owner's manual, or it could be on the tyre wall. So that's good. Show me how you would check the operation of the front brake. So front brake, all I'm doing is applying the brake, making sure the vehicle stops, the bike stops, backwards, apply it forward, and I'm making sure that it's not sticking. And I'm looking for any unusual movement, any unusual sound, but ultimately making sure that it's stopping. Show me how you would check the operation of the brakes. So I do the same for the front and then just sit on the bike. So if you sit on the bike and you're applying the back brake, and like the same, just going forwards and backwards and just making sure that there's no sticking, the brakes haven't seized up, it doesn't sound unusual, and the play isn't unusual. If it is, you just need to investigate. Show me how you would check the operation of the engine cutout switch. So simple there, engine on, ignition on, engine cutout, make sure everything is good. So show me. You won't get the question, show me how you would switch on the rear fog light. Most bike schools won't have rear fog lights, so that's a question that you won't get. Show me how you switch your headlight from dipped to main beam. So this needs to be running. There's your light. So have a look down, as you can see, and that would cover, so that's all of the sort of combination of questions on Show Me Tell Me. As I say, you will only get 2 questions, so answer them, do a bit of homework, watch this video. Your school will no doubt go through them with you before you go for your test, but Show Me Tell Me questions, and you can pick up a fault or 2 there if you don't answer them satisfactorily. So, and it's common sense, you don't need to be a mechanic, it's common sense. So hopefully you found that video useful, and if so, just comment away. Any questions, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Okay, so bye for now.